Welcome to the Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on the Weekly...
Wish my voice hadn't broken.
You're just growing up. So CMON sells Zombicide. So that's not great. That's original IP.
All right.
Warhammer goes down. The website fails.
Okay.
WotC has help wanted, so I'm gonna give you like a preliminary screening interview, see if you're qualified for any of these positions. So. And new Chaosium CEO, so a lot of kind of tabletop RPG business.
Mike Morrow's still there?
Yeah, no, that's the change. Yeah, he's headed for I don't know if it's greener pastures, but it's other pastures. So let's start with the and this is kind of they were victims of their own financial incompetency and, tariffs and things. CMON sells their flagship Zombicide IP to Asmodee. Okay. So
is that how the correct pronunciation?
I don't know. I don't know. I say Asmodee because it should have a... I think they're Europeans. They should have some mark over there. But Asmodee, I don't know.
Is that like kind of like... I think they're European. It's fine if we can say what we want. Yeah.
So, so CMON is not doing well. They're kind of troubled. And I think they relied too much on this never-ending Kickstarter thing. So they're selling one of their original board game IPs. I don't know how many others they have, but Zombicide. So Asmodee is picking that up. That was announced on June 10th. The interesting thing is it's going to be operated under the Guillotine Games, which is already branded. That was the the character designer, the illustrator that does all the character work and stuff is from the French studio. So Guillotine Games is going to maintain it. So it's going to be, it's not going to just no more CMON logo on the boxes, but they're going to continue to produce the whole series of Zombicide because it's actually quite a big franchise. They've produced a lot of content for it. So, from Guillotine Games. So Asmodee's communication manager, Xavier Audoin, maybe? How many languages do you think he has to speak to actually take that job? Yeah, right. So he says, we have acquired the IP, which gives us the full rights to the existing range of games, as well as the opportunity to develop new titles. And they are holding back, though. This deal does not include everything that's been developed for Zombicide because there are some additional licensing things. So they produced 2 comic book tie-ins for the games that are going to remain with CMON. Marvel Zombies, the Zombicide version of Marvel, plus the DC version. So Zombie Superman, Zombie Spider-Man are going to stay there. So,
little I know about those Marvel Zombies is, I guess that was something completely separate, right?
Right, and it's a separate license.
It makes sense for Zombicide to go, oh, cool, can we use those? Right, so I understand. So,
they've got an existing license, and maybe that's just not transferable, and that was probably making them the most money at the end is recognizable IP as opposed to their original stuff. So those tie-in games are not going to move. They'll stay managed with CMON. Another quote is, there are no employee transfers included in this deal. No additional hires are needed to support the existing game portfolio. And he suggests that there won't be much disruption for customers. We already handled the distribution of CMON games in many geographies. So, it's going to be available kind of the same way. So Zombicide first appeared in 2012 and had a very successful, one of the early big successes, $781,000. So that with the halcyon days of Ameritrash board games. So they basically kicked it off. So miniatures packed, lightweight dungeon crawler board game, kind of a breakout hit. And it sparked this huge takeover of crowdfunding of more and more other companies got involved and studios that were only miniatures, miniature studios decided, or even painting studios decided, well, let's make some miniatures, let's make board games. And then the whole thing just started. And unfortunately, they got into that cycle where they were 2 projects in that hadn't been fulfilled and they're doing another one. So
you got to keep it going. And like chat saying, Zombicide is kind of overrated. I've played Zombicide fine, but how much stuff did they make for it, and was it necessary?
Yeah. And so the writer at Wargamer, I believe, or I agree wholeheartedly with this opinion. So the best board games should all come with stacks of plastic components. The more plastic, the better the game. The rules don't matter, whatever. It's just got a lot of plastic. It's a brilliant.
As someone who is struggling to create games based on rules, I find that incredibly disappointing.
Hey, it's my roots. It's my white trash, Ameritrash roots. But Blood Rage, Rising Sun, and ANKH, the Gods of Egypt, were
Rising Sun was about Japan.
Yes, it was. It was big successes for them. Those have been sold to Tabletop Tycoon. We talked about that a few episodes ago. And so CMON faced a bunch of difficulties. They were delisted from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange after not being able to produce financials for the first quarter of 2025. And so Asmodee itself, though, did become an independent company separate from Embracer. And Embracer said, oh, yeah, here's all this debt, too. Why don't you take this, $1 billion of debt?
I really don't get how that works or how people are allowed to do that.
Right.
Anyway, all right.
It just happened. It's going to happen with Discovery Time Warner too. They're going to hand off. They're separating streaming movies and everything else, and the cable channels and everything are just going to get the debt. So
all right, cool.
There you go. You guys deal with that because you got subscribers that we don't, or agreements in place. So yeah, Embracer dissolved into 3 successor companies, and the CEO now, Thomas Kogler, is focused on growing and acquiring promised board games and companies, and that's what got them into that situation anyhow, where they had to split over acquisition.
That thing that ruined the Embracer group.
Keep on doing
That's what we're going to do.
Asmodee,
right?
yes.
Right.
And we talked about Asmodee just recently rebranding with their new logo,
which I actually like, apart from that one little tagline and the thing at the bottom. Yeah. Right.
And I guess it was I forget, like a 25th anniversary or something. So Asmodee's been around for a while, longer than Embracer, obviously. Yeah. And I think it was 30 years. I think that logo redesign was part of their refresh for their 30-year anniversary. And lastly, another quote from the president: "We are proud the iconic Zombicide IP further strengthens our desktop or our tabletop games portfolio and allows us to reinforce our presence in key geographies. I can't wait for the team to get to work on what's coming next for this fantastic IP." I think they've done fantasy, sci-fi, and then modern day zombies. Where else are we going to go with this?
I don't know. Well, I mean, like, okay, if IP, yeah, okay. Zombicide is like a recognizable Ameritrash, beer and pretzels, stacks of plastic board game, like you said, and I think you could probably pick it up at, I don't know, it makes sense. You could pick it up like Walmart or Target or any of those big box stores or things like that. So if that is the IP they're referring to, then I think they've maybe made a decent move, right? Hey, Zombicide, right? Like, right. It's an easy into the board game stacks of plastic hobby. That's the IP. I don't think there's any like, wow, that's an iconic zombie, right? Like, no, I don't think there's any of that, right?
Right. Well, I'm just happy the designer, because he came from the Rackham kind of confrontation days that does all the character design for these games. I'm glad he's still going to have a lot of work because it's now in the hands of the French studio. So yeah, good to see that will at least continue. We'll see some cool character designs. But yeah, so I don't know. They just keep on shuffling those deck chairs on the Titanic. But so this was a recent weird thing that happened to a certain games workshop.
No capitals in that?
They deliberately crashed their website because they don't know how to run a store and they don't know how to do pre-orders. So they did this weird thing, and they made a lot of mistakes. I don't think they really made it clear what's going on. But if you don't know, Black Library signed like limited edition books are the cigarettes of prison now. Okay, they're this thing that are sold and resold online, and the prices of these things get insane because there are unlimited whales, and probably mostly in England, that are Games Workshop fans that will pay $500 for a $50 book. And just because it has a Sharpie, squiggle in it, supposedly from Dan Abnett or whatever. Okay. And so online, there's this like thriving like secondary market of this stuff. So when they release one of these new books, it's a limited signed edition, people freak out, and they've had to institute a queue system that limits you. Okay, we're only going to let so many people in at a time. You got 10 minutes to make your purchase. You go in, you get one copy, and you go out. But the technology can just be leapfrogged by scalpers. So scalpers go in, they have multiple accounts, they just go ding, and if they're offering 1,000 books, there's 1,000 books are gone like within 5 minutes, and you're still waiting in the queue. Right. Okay. So that's experience that people have had. And the stupid thing about this is, so this is another book that they're adding to their Siege of Terra. So that Siege of Terra story is over, but they're adding a collection of short stories. Okay. So this can't be a signed book. So they were specific to say this is a special edition, not a limited edition. It's not limited edition signed, so it doesn't have the exclusivity. It's just going to be produced in that faux leather gold gilts style. But still, the scalpers are like, well, yeah, we're going to be able to put these right on eBay and get a 400% markup. It's worth it. It's better than Pokemon. It's better than Magic at right now for these idiots that'll buy this stuff. And the weird thing that they did now is instead of releasing it just as a pre-order regularly that just goes through the time zones, they said it's going to be released especially for England, like in the evening for Great Britain at this time. Everybody is going in on this one time that it's available. So of course the scalpers only had one target then, and they just jumped on that and bought everything. Because when it was regional, I think they broke up, is that they've only have 1,000 books. They give like, a few to each time zone, and probably like, 1 through 100 are available only in the UK or only at physical stores or whatever. Like you don't get a high number on these limited editions if you're buying it in an off zone. But they put it all together, and of course the scalpers jumped right on it. The bots are in there. The website goes down immediately, and no comment, nothing. We're just waiting. People are like, okay, so did it get sold out? What happened? But that means they took down their entire store, and it was close to like maybe 6 hours, nothing. And then when it came back up, most of the buy buttons and things were grayed out, so they weren't even selling anything. No, they weren't selling anything at all, and all of the Black Library was unpurchasable because they were trying to work things out. Finally, on their Facebook of all places, they posted. So the book that people were after was Era of Ruin, which was just a collection of short stories based on this Siege of Terra story arc. And so they say, you might have noticed that we've paused Warhammer.com for a period. Here's why. Today we launched our pre-order for the much anticipated special edition. Special edition means it's not 1,000. It's probably, they could do 10,000. Right. It doesn't have to be a limited quantity. They can produce as many as they need. Unfortunately, Games Workshop is so bad at pre-orders that pre-orders, they ask for 6 months out. So made to order, kind of so as many as they need to make, however many people buy it, they'll fulfill it. They ask for 6 months out for that. That's insane. So they don't know how to do that either. So this special edition, which didn't have to have limited quantities, didn't have to be signed by anybody, scalpers attempted to use bots to bypass our normal safeguards, which were not even the newest safeguards. They were the safeguards from the previous times. So anybody that tried to complete their Siege of Terra limited edition encountered a really bad queue system that did the same thing, that crashed. And so people bought all of these books and they couldn't get the last 3 because they implemented this new queue thing that did not work. They went back to a previous version, which of course the scalpers already knew how to bypass, but they say, don't worry, it's still coming. We're absolutely determined that real fans get it. All erroneous orders are being purged. This is our #1 priority. Please forgive us for this delay as we sort this all out. But they don't care. I mean, it's hard to imagine. This doesn't mean anything to them. Like all of this grief. I mean, it's just a bad look for them.
Well, okay.
But financially, they are going to do the same. These books are going to go out there. People are going to buy them for the 1,000% markup, just because they want this crap. And this doesn't mean anything to them. So I'm surprised that they even bothered. Because they lost money taking the store down, Yeah,
okay, good point. They lost money taking the store down. And okay, I don't think I'm ever buying anything. Never say never, right? I do like their contrast paints, right? I was going to say, I was never going to buy anything. I don't only buy stuff from the store. But what you said about it being a bad look is why they should care, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like someone bought, they got the money, right? Presumably for all these pre-orders and all the books that scalpers bought, right? So on the one hand, they wouldn't care, but if it's gotten, I have to think, if it's gotten to the point where it's this incredibly bad press now, they would take this action, because if they don't, they're going to lose customers.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, sure, maybe the scammers with their scalpers with their bots are buying all these books, but if enough bad press happens, people are going to say, I'm not going to buy these paints. Or I'm not going to buy that, right? So I guess that's gotten to the point where they are worried that they will lose customers and they have to do something.
Right. And I guess because, being a public company, that, public opinion does, can have an effect on shareholders and things, or at least the enthusiasm or doubts from shareholders. But it's really silly. This is a really ridiculous. And they also had trouble with the same thing with like special edition, like army boxes and stuff. Those would get immediately sold out. The nice thing that they now have changed, but the nice thing was, like I was saying, in each region, they have a few. So in Japan, you kind of got first dibs and something was always available. So I would imagine why they changed it is because the, students and kind of the wackadoo expats that are here trying to, steal copper from construction sites are the same guys that are going to, I'll buy 10 of these and then I'll list them on an auction site to make money because I don't have a real legitimate reason to exist here. So that kind of stuff was probably happening, like students, like foreign students and stuff in Japan were probably, selling these to wherever. So that's why they consolidated it to one place. But they weren't clear, I think, with people that were buying it, that this isn't some sort of, super limited, super special version. This is a special edition, which now they're producing tons of, and those don't sell out. Those don't, they sit on the store for weeks because they aren't like 1,000 copies. Their special edition is, who knows? They don't say how much it's limited to. But this whole thing was very silly that they shifted to this and expected anything but this outcome. Of course, this is exactly what was going to happen. If you didn't change the technology, or if you're not doing anything different, it's going to be a repeat of the last 10 special edition releases that you've done.
You're expecting some large behemoth company,
right,
as complex and bureaucratic as like the Empire, to be like, we should change our approach. It's no.
And you got to know, it's like probably seriously one guy. There's one administrator dealing with this, and he's like, what do I do? It's like, take it down. It's like a guy sitting on a yacht saying, take it down. But so this is just silly. So the Games Workshop team went on to say, so they caught this happening in real time and pulled Warhammer.com offline, which is very weird because and the weird thing is they're forcing everybody to buy from them on that website because they're really treating the brick and mortar game stores like shit that, that aren't Warhammer stores. So it's a very odd situation. And people even go into, for these special orders, people even, when the timing is, works out and a physical store is open, a Warhammer store is open, they'll go there to pre-order it because they think that that'll get them around a queue or that'll make it easier. So people were literally standing in line at a physical store or at Warhammer World waiting for this because of how they scheduled the release. So it's just silly. And I don't know why they, because extra protections like CAPTCHA and some of those click on the stop lights and stuff, they've already figured out how to bypass all of that stuff. So there's literally discords that are just like, okay, here's scumbags, point your bots at this thing is coming up, and they coordinate these attacks like this. And it's just because they've created this insane FOMO that goes beyond anything they could even profit from. It's like, third-party sellers are making probably more profit than Games Workshop is from these releases because they've created this insane demand and these frothing fans that want, and everything has to have a special version. Everything has to have a weird.
Games Workshop isn't unique in that, but
yes.
Anyway.
So they didn't do anything special. This was just kind of silly. So now they're going to quietly send emails out and say, oh, it's back for sale. And what they're probably going to do is, because it's not a limited release, they're just going to overproduce for it. And, a ton of people are going to buy them. The funny thing, though, is this was the first time with one of these situations where they didn't just let the scumbags, clean them out. And while you're waiting in the queue, to buy this thing, you can just go over to eBay or Mercari or Yahoo Auctions. Like, oh, look, there's 20 available already for 10 times, for 1,000% markup. But anyhow, good job, Games Workshop. You guys don't know what you got and don't know what you're doing. It's like a running theme,
isn't it? Good job, Games Workshop.
Congratulations, you suck. Yeah, but they really have to generating this kind of demand and excitement is they're not. Profit. They should be selling these books for $500 a piece. Okay, problem solved, because the scalpers are not going to be able to get a markup on that. Although, if you look at the subreddits of the Facebook groups where they trade Black Library, So it's collectors and they want to share with it. Oh, I'm going to get rid of this. I'll sell this at a decent price. Some scumbag buys it and then they put it right back on for double what you just sold it to them from. I mean,
I'm in the wrong business. I'm the wrong business.
The ceiling of this, like the be able to resell these things is unlimited, especially if it's like a popular title. If it's like and that's the funny thing about Black Library. I would say 70-80% of Black Library is dog shit.
Tell us how you really feel. Jesus,
so there's really like books they haven't even read. They're spending all this money on these editions, and they're just
it's the
garbage.
Signature that matters.
Yeah, right. It's just garbage. So it's a really weird collector's market, and I don't feel sorry for anybody caught up in this. It's just so sad that this is created. But we got Pokemon cards and
I'm laughing because usually I'm the one who has a rant.
Yes. But anyhow, moving on. Wizards of the Coast is hiring a new lead designer. So, sir, I'm happy you could make it
new
today.
New lead designer for what?
And so yes, there's a couple of positions that we'd like to consider you for. We've got a head of game ecosystem. So Wizards of the Coast, of course, have lost Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford after this revised 2024 edition. Yep. They've got 2 new listings posted, a head of game ecosystem. I don't know, that's the bacteria or something that you're managing, and the principal game designer.
Okay.
So both of these are high-level positions, like 150 to 200K. I don't know if that's probably pounds. I don't know what that is. No, I don't know what that. So dollars somewhere on the West Coast. So yeah, you're doing product execution for Dungeons and Dragons. So you need 8.5 years of experience in game design. So you have that. You qualify there. We'll let you let you through on that.
If you squint, yeah, sure.
So Jesse Lanzillo, which is the replacement of what was it, president or whatever for D&D, replacement of our wonderful I'm blanking on his name, Kyle.
Right. Okay.
Kyle's replacement had already made that statement that we're not going to be replacing Crawford or Perkins. There's a group of people that are just going to kind of assume all of those duties
that are nameless, so that we don't have the whole problem. Yeah, okay.
Right. But we do have these 2 job listings. So for the principal game designer, they're going to lead the execution of D&D's major brand releases. These tentpole projects span analog and digital expressions and may include setting, rules-adjacent systems, adventures, platform-native features. The role architects and this role architects and stewards the design vision of the sophisticated product suites, working closely with the design lead. So you're not going to be designing anything. Editorial, rules leadership, and digital teams to ensure cohesion and quality across every player touch point. So are you moving to the northwest of, okay.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I know. It's just a bunch of nonsense. So yeah, basically you'll do execution of multiple SKUs. You'll structure the content development plans, guide the designers, collaborate rule design, act as a primary design voice for the products, and partner with the executive producer. Oh, I guess that's who Jesse is, as executive producer and head of product. Okay, so that doesn't sound like what you want to do. No. Okay, so how about head of game ecosystem? This is a crucial leadership position responsible for driving the complete design and evolution of Dungeons & Dragons game system. This role ensures consistency across game releases, both physical and digital, preserving the integrity of the rules and the mechanics while encouraging innovation. So you will design and drive a long-term vision, own the rules roadmap, propose and lead the ecosystem forward productive product initiatives, lead and mentor a team of game designers. Ooh, you could mentor. Partner closely with the product management, develop frameworks, and represent D&D systems, visions internally and externally, acting as the voice of authority and alignment across all design efforts. Does this sound like something you'd be interested in?
I don't even know what that is. No.
All right. Well, anyhow, yeah. So neither of those are actually creative positions. It's basically like logistics and management, and it's like no, yes, no, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're merely carrying out the you're executing these orders and basically coordinating, like, because they're going to be doing video games and who knows what, streaming series and stuff, and you got to make sure the owlbears are all owlbearing.
Owlbearing. All right.
Good stuff. Yeah. So not a game director, just kind of a rules supervisor, but you'll be working directly with the CEO, or not the CEO, the CEO of D&D. But anyhow, Yeah, so sorry you're not interested. We'll keep your keep your
Resume in the
on
trash
file.
can. Yeah, sure. All right.
Yeah, so those are the two positions that kind of that they were offering, and they're also so now that they're expanding, they've got another game studio. We talked about Giant Skull that they're working on another D&D game with. So yeah, who knows? And this doesn't sound great. And we don't even know, like, are they going to spend another 10 years with 5th edition? Are they looking for like a second decade of
No,
5e?
of course not, because we're not on 5e. We're on whatever.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, 5e point.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. We're on just D&D.
Yeah, right. The all new D&D. Right. So so I'm sorry. Sorry we couldn't find you a position, but
I'm sure you are.
Yeah. The Northwest United States may not be for you. All right, so let's move on to the last business maneuver. So Chaosium, they named a new CEO and executive producer for their RPGs. So kind of a major staff shuffle, and I didn't realize this is the 50th anniversary of Chaosium. They weren't
anything they do will be better than D&D.
Yeah, right. They weren't really playing it up. As far as
maybe Hasbro shouldn't have.
We were talking like Green Ronin's 25th, but this is Chaosium's 50th. And their executive producer, Mike Merrills, is departing. And guess where he's going? Asmodee.
Oh.
I thought that was funny.
I'm sorry, man. This shit gets incestuous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just people are just bouncing around between all kinds of stuff. So yeah, if there's going to be like, board games or whatever licensing, he's going to be there to, the RuneQuest board game is coming out.
All right.
So they announced also several staff changes. So Merrills is leaving the company, and Chaosium has named Neil Robinson as the new CEO. So Robinson is co-owner of Chaosium. So, in good hands. Okay. He is famous for running Canada's first Gloranthicon and developing the LARP House of the Fall of House Mullen. This is a bit Merrill's departure is a bit of a surprise, and he was working on a few projects already. They are in the process of doing a new edition of RuneQuest, which I was surprised. Celebrating so Asmodee is like celebrating their 30th anniversary with their new logo. So there's anniversaries all around. So he's just moving from a 50-year-old company to a 30-year-old company. And so Neil Robinson taking over. A couple of other changes. Brian Holland is now who was a marketing director, is now executive producer. They're doing a new TTRPG, Age of Vikings, which will be using the basic roleplay system. So Jason Durrell is moved to basic roleplay, and his editor will be Mike Curry. Jeff Richards will focus on the new edition of RuneQuest. Michael O'Brien will be the producer for the previous version, the role-playing in Glorantha version of RuneQuest. Bridget Jeffries is now the community manager full-time, and they're bringing Maciej Gorkowski as the production manager. So he was previously coordinating book and board game printing, and now will be on board as the manager. And previously he was a game developer for their board game studio. And lastly, they're welcoming Dan Zapon as an assistant editor and graphic design specialist for all their good stuff, and basically working on the Age of Vikings. Yeah, basic roleplay game master pack that they released, and now the Age of Vikings. So yeah, some big shuffling going on at Chaosium. So hopefully that's good. They're doing
who knows anymore.
Good things. Because they were kind of re-emphasizing their basic roleplay. They're releasing new books of that, just the system, and I think they did an SRD and the game license. I think Chaosium is in with the Orc license.
Not sure.
Yeah, so they're trying to get people to support that.
They should. I mean, okay. Companies should have tried to capitalize after WotC's giant misstep, right? So, yeah. Yeah,
so we'll see what happens. But that's a funny move, and I'm curious where Merrills will pop up doing what, and what interviews he will be doing for what crazy Asmodee properties, because they got a lot. They got a lot going on. So,
Zombicide.
So that's right. Hey, just what a coincidence. He was a big Zombicide fan, so I decided to jump ship. Yeah. All right. So that's going to do it for this week. So where can people find you?
Social media. I forget the name. No, Blue Sky, and occasionally Instagram, right? Where I don't know. I haven't painted or done anything miniatures related in what feels like a long time, and I should try and get back to it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I should.
Yes, you should. You should. Yeah, you got to at least finish painting your Frostgrave warband.
I haven't even done that. I haven't even done that. I am thinking of like, I don't know, it's nice to assemble them. So I'm thinking of like, okay, maybe I've got so many Frostgrave figures. I'm thinking just maybe assemble, not a new warband, but like new miniatures for the warband.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But anyway.
Yeah, as we expand, yes.
Yep. I got to look at what we need for the next scenario as well.
Just a lot of construct control spells.
I've seen some really awesome, like, they're mechs or combat suits, but they're made out of beads. Just like people are putting together like round beads with like thin EVA foam for like plates. And sometimes the things people make look amazing. So I was like, those would make some pretty cool constructs, right? But I know what would happen. I'd buy all the supplies and then like lose interest and be like, I've got all these beads to use. Anyway, so yeah. Nice. All right, I'll think about it. Anyway, nice. So how about you?
And so I've got probably next week I'll be doing my Abuse Cartoons live stream. So I'll draw my single panel gag cartoon, Domestic Abuse, eat some Japanese snacks from the convenience store. It's mint chocolate chip season, don't you know?
Yeah, it is. I saw a mint chocolate chip melon pan and I'm like, no.
No. Yeah, they get a little crazy. So you can read that cartoon on GoComics, gocomics.com/domestic abuse, and Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch. And I'll also go live on this channel because it's monetized and nothing else freaking
Not anymore, it isn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah, after that stream.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you like what we're doing here on the weekly, consider becoming a weekling.
The strongest of all supporters.
You can do that at patreon.com/upturntable. And of course, upturntable.com is where you can find everything that we're posting. We do actual plays, and there's lore series, audiobooks in the YouTube member and Patreon areas. Yes, and the audio for this entire live stream goes on the RSS feed for the Patreon. And so you can join YouTube, become a YouTube member below this video. If you're listening to us on the podcast, you can visit the website. We've got links to everything, and of course, Patreon for everything. And basically, the tier for weeklings tells us that you're supporting the weekly and what you want to see on this show. And then there's other tiers to let us know what other content you'd like to see on the channel.
More advice for making bots that jumps the Games Workshop queue line.
Yes, that's what we're starting. Yeah, so look on our Discord for a way to steal everything from the suckers that wait in digital lines on Warhammer.com. But anyway, that'll do it for this week. We'll be back again next week.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye.